Here. Thank you, Valan. And thank you, Jeff and Kathy and Louise for the music, because Louise called, and Pat, yeah, and Louise called me and said, what do you want to do for the music? And I said, I don't know. It always works out right. And when I walked in and I saw the sheet, I just chuckled to myself because I said, yeah, it always works out right. And then Jeff with his song, it's like, okay, it always works out right. I don't have to do anything or say anything. So thank you to everybody for being here too. It's good to see everybody again. So this theme for this month, I guess, is blessings of release. I'm going to speak to blessings of release anyway, even if it's not. So release in the context of my talk today means going from a state of confinement, containment, holding in, or limitation to a state of openness, expansion, or freedom. Release in our context today means we have been holding on to something, an emotion or a feeling, and finally let it go. A blessing of release is what we feel the instant we let it go. Every time you let go of something you've been holding on to, whether it's a thought of anger or judgment or guilt over something you think you've done, you will feel the blessings of release because there is a change in your state of being. And situations miraculously seem to correct themselves. Release also opens up the deeper feeling of the peace of God within you. The experience of being in the peace of God always accompanies release, because being in the peace of God is actually our natural background state of being. This is the blessing of release, the return to a state of being in the peace of God. Release to me is a bit like opening a door. You open it a crack and there's this light that you see, when in fact that light is being mirrored back to you. It is your own light, and that is the peace of God. Each time we release any form of fearful thoughts, we not only experience the change in the state of being physically, but we experience more acutely this change to the natural state of peace. But the dang thing is, release doesn't happen all on its own. We have to want it to happen on some level, and we have to choose it in our daily lives. So we have to let go of things, release things that we've been holding on to in this life in order to feel all of the blessings and our simultaneous return to our natural state of being. Letting go of our limitations and fears being expressed in the forms of anger, resentment, irritability, guilt, judgments, worry, the list is long, is the simplest thing in the world, but the hardest thing you will ever do. It's why we are still here experiencing the physical. In continuing my studies in A Course in Miracles, which, by the way, comes in fits and starts, I recently ordered a couple of the transcript series from Foundation for A Course in Miracles. Sorry, I didn't bring them to show you. But Volume 5 in particular is titled Act Your Part with Honor. And its title comes from text by the Greek Stoic philosopher Epictetus and is based on a transcript of a workshop of the same name by Ken Wapnick. In reading this volume, I found so many things that parallel the theme for this month and why release has to be our priority. The first line I'll read is from Kim Wapnick's discussion, page 25. If at any point my perception of the world does not lead to perfect peace in me, I know I have chosen my ego. The blessing of release is the simultaneous return to a state of being in the peace of God. If I am not releasing my grievances or other forms of fear, I will not experience my natural state of being in the peace of God, and my perception of the world will not lead me to perfect peace. So I'd like to sidestep just for a second for those who are not familiar with A Course in Miracles. And the ego and the Holy Spirit that the Course talks about are not separate entities, spiritual entities, or even separate aspects of yourself. The ego doesn't make you do anything. The Holy Spirit doesn't physically hold your hand. They are both just descriptions of a thought process, a decision path our mind makes in any given situation. The word ego and Holy Spirit are symbols of those decisions. I've gotten to the point where I like to use love and fear because there's less tendency to personify and have, like this little angel and devil on your shoulder, ego, Holy Spirit, whatever you have, talking to you. So the reason I like to use love and fear is because all decisions our minds make are first a thought with either its basis in love or its basis in fear. So if at any point my perception of the world does not lead to perfect peace in me, I know I have chosen my ego. The only cause of everything you see is the mind's choice of either love or fear. Period. You only have to look around you to know what your mind is choosing. What do you see? People getting angry, fighting, depressed. What's happening in your relationships? Conflict, anger, kindness, happiness, gratitude. My perception of what I see going on around me in the world, or how I see myself interacting with others, my current state of being is just an external projection of the thought or decision path my mind is making. There are no other choices. So we only have ourselves to blame for the current state of being we are in. At some point in time, someplace in the Course, I can't remember where it is, it says, "My brother, you are doing this to yourself." And just to be clear, you can have different states of being with different relationships. I mean, you can be choosing love in one and fear and anger in another. So we only have ourselves to blame. Right? I kind of lost my place. Can you tell? All right. To return to the book, page 74, To act your part with honor means you do not project responsibility for your fears to anyone else. Or from the text, seek not to change the world, but choose to change your mind about the world. Your perception of the world around you is not a cause of the choices you are making, but a result of the choices you are making in your mind, first, either as a basis in love or fear. That's it, nothing else, period. Now, remember that I said release is a change in your state of being. When you change your mind and you choose love as a basis for your decision, you will release the forms of fear you are experiencing and therefore change your state of being. What accompanies this change is a return to the state of being in the peace of God. This is the blessing of release. So if you're not experiencing the peace of God, and since we only have ourselves to blame for our state of being, you must make different choices from the ones you are actually making. Making different choices so you can release the old choices or wrong-minded choices and change your state of being. Do not seek to change the world, but change how you see the world. This concept of choosing provides us the means to be at peace no matter what is going on around us. How do we change our minds in order to release our hold on any form of fear that we are experiencing and subsequently change our state of being? There is no right or wrong answer, but there is a right or wrong approach. The right approach in dealing with anything is to always, always, always choose to let love lead you through it. Only this choice will bring blessings of release, because if you are in a state of being that is based in fear, you cannot solve your perceived problem because you will continue to make fear-based decisions. Fear cannot release fear. Only love can release fear. When you ask for help in solving a problem, ask for help in seeing the love within you first. I know you've heard this before, but that is the right approach. Ask for help in removing the barrier to love's presence within yourself. At that point, you will see there really is no problem. Choose love, and you can release fear and experience the blessings that accompany that release. When you choose love as the basis for all your decisions and interactions, and you know love is within you, there is nothing that can affect you, nothing that can disturb your peace of God. However, in the meantime, recognize that all your experiences and thoughts that have shaped your current state of being are actually helping you to get to the point where you can recognize what is going on. It will help you recognize the choices you have made so that you can choose once again to lead with love and change your state of being. So do not deny your experiences. Judging them will take you back to fear-based decisions, and you won't be able to solve anything. To act your part with honor is to be non-judgmentally honest with yourself. That, oh, here I go again. I got frightened of the love that I am, and I made a choice that booted me out of my peace of God and denied me access to that feeling. Maybe a better way is to ask yourself every day in every situation is this: what is my inability to release my fearful thoughts costing me? I can tell you it is costing you ultimately the peace of God. All of us here are paying this price because we all have fear and we all express those fears in one way or another. I've had the fortunate and unfortunate experience this week to be faced with this a number of times. And I'm saying, oh my God, what's going on? I'll give you a little story. One case in point, I was raking my leaves. I have two huge maple trees out front, and they're the big leaves. They're thick. They're hard to compost. My neighbor has the big trees that make the little tiny maple leaves. I love those because they compost so well. But so for the third time, I was on my third time of raking, and I try to bag them, but this time I was deciding, I don't know if I want to bag them or just put them out, in the street. Anyway, I was merrily raking, and my neighbor comes along walking down the street, and he goes, "Oh, you're working hard." And I was like, "Yeah, I don't know why I did this. I just hate to, put them in the street. I don't know what to do. When they go in the street, they get crunched, and then they go down the storm drain, and that clogs up our storm drains." And, he's like, "Yeah." He was like, "Yeah. And you have to put them in the street. You have to put them in a long line. That's so stupid. We all park in our streets. We don't have any place to park." And I'm like, "Yeah. And, we have these big piles, and we're the last neighborhood to have them pick them up. And a lot of times they can't pick them up, and they get all frozen. And we have these big piles of snow in the winter. We have on and on." Seriously. I mean, he walks off, he's like, yeah, walks off, and immediately I'm like, what just happened? Seriously. I just felt like my energy going. That's how quickly we can pay the price for losing our peace of God. It happens so fast. Anyway, and that's not the only time it happened this week, too. No, you don't want to hear it. Starts with property tax. Okay. Where am I? All right. So, are you willing to pay the price for judgment or justification of your anger, resentments, depression, irritability, bitterness? How much a price we are each willing to pay differs. So I can't judge you for the choices that you're making. Maybe leaf pickup isn't a big deal to you, right? Maybe you live in one of the neighborhoods they pick up sooner. I don't know. So let's just be honest with ourselves and say, I am afraid of love, and at this moment, I'm willing to pay this price. I don't want to. Feeling the peace of God is so much better, but right now, I'm just not quite ready to give up my victimization of the leaf incident. Be honest with yourself, but don't judge it. You are where you are on your journey. We are all afraid of love to some degree. If we weren't, we wouldn't be here. And as you become more and more aware of each and every action or reaction, whether you're reacting in love or fear, you are learning the daily lesson of release. To the extent you are willing to release criticizing people, attacking people, judging people, finding fault with people, identifying differences in people, I have a long list, and choose to find the love and the unifying power of love in every person and situation, you will experience the blessings of release and the change in your state of being to your natural state of one with the peace of God. Page 84 from Act Your Part with Honor. In discussing a section of the text in A Course in Miracles, Wapnick states, the question you should ask yourself all the time is, would I lay the peace of God aside just to be right, just to be angry, just to feel unfairly treated, just to win my point in an argument? Would I throw away the peace of God and the love of heaven just for this? I mean, I did that for a pile of leaves. Really? To act your part with honor is to be able to ask that question each and every time you are tempted to be angry, to be annoyed, to feel unfairly treated. Here's another long list. To feel unfairly treated, to feel self-indulgent in your misery, to wallow in the throes of your self-pity, to hold on to your past life and your past abuses and your past hurts and victimizations. The important thing to realize that this is not saying you must become the perfect saint and do all these things and never do all these things. Or you're a bad person if you do these things. That's not the point of what this is saying. This is saying be able to honestly ask the question each and every time, which means you have to become aware of what you're thinking and feeling in any given situation or relationship. What is helpful is to just keep asking the question. And what is most important is not to judge yourself for the delay in the return to God. In the awareness and honesty of having to ask yourself the question, you will find yourself becoming kinder, less angry, less fearful, less judgmental, and you will more and more begin to release the forms of fear you are holding on to. And release will lead to the blessing of a more constant state of being in the peace of God. Realizing what the cost is, are you motivated to release some of those fears that you are paying for in the form of conflict in your relationships, anger at what is going on in the government, or anger at yourself? From page 108, our work is to be open to recognize what we are doing and ask for help to look at it differently. This cannot be done for us by anyone else. Each and every one of us must ask these questions of ourselves. This is why we are here. Only we can do it. We have to be aware and let love lead us to make the decisions in the right mind of love. This is where we begin the process of release and return to the peace of God. This is the most important thing. No matter what we've done to someone else or ourselves, or how we've been interacting with another person or in any situation, at any moment, we can change our minds. Choose loving thoughts and release fearful thoughts. This is why it's important to understand that the ego and the Holy Spirit are decision-making choices of the mind. This allows us to say, oops, I didn't make the right-minded decision in this instant. Okay, I can make another choice. This process recognizes that we all have this either-or ability. The process recognizes that hope lies in our ability to choose, giving us the opportunity to change our perceptions at any time and experience release and the blessings of changing our state of being to the peace of God. It's a domino chain reaction. Change your mind, change your world. The last thought I have on this in relation to that domino chain reaction, I like those domino things, where they set them up and they go all around. Yeah, I saw one the other day. It was like this huge building and it just all came down. So the last thought I have on this in relation to that is that the blessings of release are shared. Because the decision for love or fear is a decision in your mind first. And we are all one mind. You share your decision for love with me and everyone else through the one mind. Conversely, whenever you choose fear, whenever you are just the teeniest bit irritated, you are actually sharing that decision for fear with everybody else through the one mind. So now I leave you with a question to ask yourself in any given situation. Is this what I want for everyone? Thank you. So, okay, we're going to do the meditation. All right, so just kind of get comfy, relax. Close your eyes if you want. As you relax, I want you to bring your mind to a fairly recent event that upset you, made you angry, or just the slightest bit irritated. Search your mind for the thoughts that made you fearful about this situation. Maybe it was a conflict with a difficult person or anything against which you are harboring unloving thoughts. Watch calmly and non-judgmentally the flow of your thoughts about this situation. If you find yourself experiencing the same feelings now, don't try to stop them and don't try to change them. Just let them be. And know that they are simply the result of an incorrect choice to be separate from the peace of God. And if perhaps you aren't quite ready to release those feelings, know that that's okay too. Just let them go calmly by. Relax your neck and shoulders. Tell yourself, I can replace my feelings of discord with those of peace. It is my choice. Relax your heart. Remind yourself that there is another way of looking at the problem, a way that allows love to lead you through it. And then ask for help in releasing any barriers to the presence of love within yourself, so that you can allow the love that we all are to lead you through it, and to see the situation or person from a different perspective. Feel the blessings of release and the peace of God that is naturally you. Thank you. The mic just went dead. So you're gonna have to check. Talk loud. Do you know how many people told me that? And it's like, it's back. My sister's a kindergarten teacher, so it's like no effort. You know, sit down. Nobody ever hears me. Okay. All right, now we'll say the prayer for protection. Do you want to? Well, I was just going to say if they want to stand, they can stand. Okay, I'm going to sit. Okay, you're going to sit. Okay. Everybody's like, well, okay, we'll stand. Okay.